Okay. Well, as you know, there's a lot of things happening in the East Side, but one of the main focuses right now is the arts. And the arts are important, and you can talk about the music arts, you can talk about dancing, you can talk about vocals, you can talk a variety of forms of arts, but the visual art forms like murals, the paintings, the different mediums are so important to our community in the East Side because it tells a story of the East Side. The idea of utilizing art throughout the East Side is really giving the outside community a visual of who the East Side community is, whether it be through history or what the East Side is thinking about in the future or what is happening currently. What we have in our East Side is we have a lot of individuals with a lot of talents, and we want them to be able to explore those talents, work with us in providing those talents and making them available to the community, whether it be through partnerships and volunteer, but it's also really kind of creating their vision of where they see themselves and where they see their community and where the community wants to go in the future. As a community, the East Side community, as you know, is a very old community, and it was really the area where many of our new immigrants used to come to and settle, whether they be of Filipino descent, Japanese, Chinese, Mexican, or African American. This is where generally the laborers or those individuals that were domestic workers would live. And what's happened over time is that community started to grow. There were certain demands that they wanted. There were certain access to certain services that they wanted, whether it be swimming pools or whether it be parks or libraries and such. And as you know, when you look back into the early 1900s, 1920s, 1930s, it was a very different world. Very different world where you had Caucasians who were in the positions of power and you had minorities who were in the positions of labor. And that story in the East Side hasn't been told. The story of civil liberties, the story of how the community has changed and how Riverside has changed. But through the arts, when you start telling that story and people start becoming aware of that story and the people in the community feel better about that story, it really starts changing the attitudes of the community. They feel a certain level of pride in their community, but it also educates the outside community about the changes and the transitions that have occurred, whether it be through upward mobility, whether it be through equality, whether it be through just jobs and opportunities and seeing individuals in our community succeed. A lot of that can be done through the arts, and those stories can be told. And that's what brings this sense of pride and togetherness in a community. That the idea of any community is to progress. And when you are able to take these ideas and instill them in the minds of the community, that's powerful. That's what starts making the community change. And it makes the community, I think, a better community, but it also creates this fusion, this melting pot where not only individuals from the low income understand what their community has gone through, but also individuals that are from the outside understand what the community has gone through. So that's what you want to do. That's what you want to change and make it more cohesive community, so it becomes almost seamless between our East Side community and the surrounding area.
I see the mural representing us because of our journey over the years and our engagement in the community in terms of what we have been able to gather from the community. We've always wanted to listen, know what the community needed around healthcare, and then we've put that together over the years. And after 20 years of service, we've provided a lot of programs and clinical services that can be utilized by the East Side residents. So I think it wraps up all that we are and who we are at the very beginning of what we've done in the community. So we see it from the community side and the medical side, and how we have been able to bring them all together and make the community a better place, maybe even a healthier place.
Yes, so the mural really represents kind of public health and community health combined. So in public health, we really encourage community members to advocate for their health and their well-being. And it really represents what the community's voice is in terms of what they want to see between the connection in medicine and the connection with their health and well-being in their own community. So for me, I see it as a representation of public health moving forward. The Hill Zone Project encourages advocacy and encourages empowerment. And I feel like this mural is empowering individuals without speaking.
The mission of the Riverside Art Museum is to engage, inspire, and build community through the arts. Often when people think of a museum, they think of a place where you go and you just look at art. But museums are really designed to give a visitor insight and knowledge into a different culture, a different perspective through the artist's voice. And so art is very dynamic, and bringing the art outside the museum into the community, we're allowed to connect with artists, to connect with community members, and together create an art piece that gives insight into a current time or place or issue in a community. So it's very important to us because it shows that museums are more than just static institutions, but they're very dynamic and they have a very important mission in a city and in a community as connectors. The Riverside Art Museum has always been different from other traditional museums because education has always been such an important focus of what we do. It's been a dual mission along with exhibitions and collecting art. And so our Board of Trustees asked the staff to be more relevant and accessible to the community, to do more community outreach. And the Artist in Residency program in the East Side is just an incredible example of through the creativity, ingenuity of artists and the willingness of the community to share their vision with us, where we can demonstrate that arts really matter. About a little bit more. Okay. When the Riverside Art Museum started doing work in the East Side, which is about a mile or less than a mile from the Riverside Art Museum, we reached out to the Riverside Community Health Foundation because they were doing work in the East Side Heal Zone. And they have been an amazing project convener and a connector for us. And so when this project came up, RAM definitely wanted to be a partner and provide as many resources we possibly could to make this mural happen. And we really look forward to working with the residents, artists, and the East Side Heal Zone in the future. It really matters to our mission, you know, because I think people often think of like, why do I go to a museum? Why care? Like, remember in Black Panther, like they literally killed the curator who took the work out of their country and then was pedantically telling them, this is your culture. I mean, that's not how it's got to be. You know what I mean? Like a museum has got to steward history, it's got to steward art and different visions and voices and provide historical perspectives. Kind of what Andy was saying. I totally agree with Andy, that art gives you a material representation of what was important at a certain time. So people will always remember that mural because they'll remember, oh, that's when we really decided that we needed to take ownership of our quality of life, you know, that we're working so hard, we're working all these crazy hours, but what about rest? What about wellness? What about my family, you know? So that's kind of cool.
Cool. Thank you. Awesome.
Remember when we were like all working to ourselves to death?
It represents my culture that we came from. It depicts we call it the kente cloth. And the kente cloth has 5 different colors: blue, green, red, and yellow. And the red is royalty, blue is prosperity, and green is from the earth. The kente cloth originated from Ghana in the 1800s and the 1700s. And we wear that in a lot of clothing that we wear, bright clothing, just like I noticed that in your painting that the Mexicans do the same bright colors. And I'm depicting that now in what I'm wearing right now because I think that we're so similar in what we are putting on and what we wear. And so I'm so happy that we are getting together as one and putting this mural up so that we can show the diversity in Riverside and the oneness that we have together. I think it beautifies the city. And like you said, we have so many culture groups here. that when you see something that depict your culture, it makes you feel good and inclusive. And like I said, it beautifies it, it uplifts you. It looks better than graffiti. And I think when you do something beautiful as this mural that you guys have done, people want to look at it. And I pass by at night and I drive up in the parking lot because there are no cars here and I can see the whole mural and take pictures and things of that. So I brought my grandchildren here to see it. So it brings us as one. And I just love that. I would. I think that we do have a project going on that will be coming up in Patterson Park. And I'd like to see more of that there. And I'd like to see maybe some children coming out and help to make this mural. Maybe put a call out to them, you know. And when they see something that they have done, they will make sure nobody, you know, put graffiti on there or mess it up. But I think that we should do more. I know that we're talking with the Hillzone about doing one at Patterson Park. And I just hope that we can reach out to the community and have those little babies come with their little hands and help paint.
Sí, yo doné unas flores porque para mí representa mi familia, mi cultura, de donde vengo, como todo lo que es mi cultura, como para que mis hijos sigan un ejemplo de mi cultura.
¿Y alguien en tu familia que es artista que tú miras a un crecimiento en algo artístico?
No.
¿No?
No.
Okay. ¿Y me puedes decir más del vestido de tu hija y cómo fue esa conversación?
El vestido que yo doné está hecho a mano, está hecho por artesanas y eso representa para mí porque eso fue un recuerdo que yo di para sus 3 años y para mí representa mucho porque es un recuerdo que se queda en tu cultura.
Y una vez más te voy a preguntar y la misma pregunta. ¿Me puedes decir un poquito más cómo era la conversación entre tú y tu hija para donar esta pieza? ¿Y ella comprendió eso?
Al principio no, pero cuando yo le expliqué para qué era, que era muy importante para la comunidad, para que estuviera ahí, para que mucha gente que mire el mural pintado, pues ella, o algún día cuando ella crezca, ella puede decir, oh, ese vestido mi mamá lo donó y ese vestido mi mamá lo dio en mi 3 años, cuando yo cumplí mis 3 años. El día de mañana que crezca, que pase o que vean o que le diga a sus compañeros, a sus amigos, esto fue parte de mi familia.
Amén. Allí, esa es la respuesta que busqué. Okay, we're good. Ya que terminamos. Ya listo.
Este arte representa como las culturas y lo que la comunidad se ha unido en trabajar aquí mismo, en esta área. Sí, yo soy parte del proceso porque yo aporté ideas acerca de qué nos gustaría ver en el mural. También aporté un trozo de tela para hacer el mural en una manta pequeña para ya luego pasarlo aquí al mural en la pared. Yo doné un trozo de tela con un avioncito que está por acá a la mano izquierda. Yo aporté ese trozo porque es una pijama de mi niño y ese niño nació aquí, lo que es en esta área de Riverside. Entonces para mí es importante porque el niño grande no nació en Riverside, sino solo nada más uno. Entonces yo doné ese trozo para representar que uno de mis hijos nació aquí en esta área. A mí me gusta mucho ver este tipo de arte, ya lo hemos tenido en varias partes, me gusta porque como que llama la atención, las personas vienen a tomar fotos, se mira como que menos graffiti, porque en vez de tener graffiti pues tenemos algo bonito que ver, o sea que a mí me gusta mucho los artes que se están teniendo en esta área. Sí, nuestro grupo real se basa mucho más en salud, en ejercicio y comer saludable. Entonces, este arte pues identifica algunas de las cosas a veces que nosotros, ideas o algo que tenemos, las pasamos en murales o en algún trabajo que hacemos aquí, pasamos como de ejercicio o de frutas o algo que identifique lo que estamos trabajando en ello.
Well, I enjoy looking at it after 5 when most of the cars are gone. Then I can see the whole thing. And it's kind of like a puzzle. You want to look at each different piece and try to figure out what it's saying, and you get an idea of what it's representing. And it's complex that it engages me and tries to challenge me to figure it out. And it's a warm, pleasant feeling.
All right. So, anything that stood out to you that maybe you discovered as you were just looking at it or reflecting on it?
It has different boxes, different themes, and the colors are vibrant. I like the color scheme all matches nicely. It's not like nothing's glaring or too contrasty. So I enjoyed that part of it.
All right. Has there ever been maybe a conversation that's happened inside the room while you're doing your practice? Maybe someone that you're serving mentions it or something like that?
I think most of my patients come by bus and don't park back here. And mostly the employees are parking back here. So we've only heard positive comments from the employees.
All right. So what are the things that they're saying?
So it's just beautiful. Well, we're all psychobiosocial beings, and we can't just focus on the bio in the medical field. They tried to make this building prettier, and it's worked nicely. The environment people work in or see the providers in, it makes a better experience, and people are happier when it's vibrant and full of creativity.